and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I hope you're having a wonderful Friday night. I'm just thrilled that you're spending a great part of it here with me on the portal. That's amazing. And hello to everyone out there. Those of you listening on TFR and those of you listening on iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live as well. And those of you listening on YouTube as you guys come in. Everything is just underway here, and I'm just getting all set up. I thought, as usual, I thought I was all good to go, and then I remembered about 3 things that I was forgetting, and I probably forgot some other stuff too, but that's just what happens. I guess I'm just reaching that age where that's going to become more and more of a problem. So what do you do? But just saying hello to all. TFR Wookie, Douchlander, or Douchlander, however you say that. Psycho Dave's in there. Lawrence is in there. Trudy Glenn. King Sweet 111. Donkey Hottie is in there as well. So good to see you guys on TFR. And I'm not sure how many are into YouTube yet. It usually takes YouTube a little longer to filter in. It looks like just a handful of you are in there now, but more are coming every moment, which is great. I see Cha-Cha's here. Bigfoot Odyssey is here. How you doing, Carrie? Let's see. Spaces Between. Hello, Paisley. Mary Brimjian. Brimjian, I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome. Caloran D from Connecticut is in here. Renee Harvey. Beth Fierce. Let's see. Anything I'm missing? Let me go to the participants list and have a peek. Deb Purcell is in here. Good to see you, Deb. Ian Baker's in here. Good to see you, Ian. I missed you, brother. Hope everything's good. I think I've got everyone else so far that's registering on the list, but we'll see as we continue on this journey tonight. But welcome to the show. This is the Paranormal Portal. This is the 2-hour show. It's Friday night, and we're just going to talk about a lot of different things in the paranormal. First thing off the bat, I just want to say, if you have a paranormal situation or experience or thoughts of your own that you'd like to share, some ideas you have about the paranormal are great as well. I love discussing theories. It doesn't have to always just be experiences. If you have an opinion about the paranormal, I'd love to hear what you're thinking, because I certainly don't pretend to know it all. I wish I did, but the paranormal, again, is the one of those fields where there's no such thing as experts, no matter what people may tell you, because it's not a field that lends itself to rigorous study. Either it's there or it's not. And be that cryptids, be that spirits, be that UFOs. Got a whole lot of theories, though. And there's a lot of very, very intelligent people that are working on these things, giving their blood, sweat, and tears for it. So I'm not disparaging anybody in any way by saying that. But I just like to think that, the field is wide open. It's not been labeled and hammered into place and shelved and cataloged and put away like so many other things in our modern life. So, but I'd love to hear from you. So again, the email address for the Paranormal Portal is excuse me, I just inhaled something. Paranormal Portal radio at gmail.com. Yeah, there's nothing like inhaling something into your upper lung that'll just get your attention. So Paranormal Portal Radio at gmail.com. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open here on the portal. I love hearing from you guys. If you have something that you'd like to call in and share, please do. I'd love to hear from you. And the phone line is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. And hope to hear from you, because it just, it makes my night go better when I've got someone more to talk to. Not that that's your job, but, it is fun. I did get an email I wanted to start with tonight. Just someone that just actually found the show and came in today, and a listener is named Laura. And she wrote in a story of her very own. And apparently her and her husband have a bunch more to come. So that's really exciting. I can't wait to see more of these, but sorry, a little parched. But it's really, really a good story. So let me blow this up a little bit. And I want to open the show with this. So again, her name is Laura, and she says, I'm such a huge fan of your podcast and thought I would email you one of my many paranormal stories that has happened to our family. I can't wait to email you more stories. And also, my hubby is from Winslow, Arizona, and he has a UFO story to share as well at another time, of course. Well, I'm looking forward to all those, Laura, and thank you for sending in this one tonight. And it's kind of a long one, but I'm actually going to blow up the font because it already is blown up. Man, I guess my eyes are getting a little worse. All right, so it was July 2011, and we were renting a house for my husband's aunt. The house was an older home, and it was well known amongst my husband's family as being haunted. However, we were completely unaware of this. I had just given birth to my son on July the 4th, and it was the first night bringing my son home from the hospital. My husband, who was my fiance at the time, was playing Xbox in the living room, and I had just finished breastfeeding my son, so I laid him down in his bassinet, and being completely exhausted, I fell into a deep sleep with my breast still exposed, when all of a sudden I'm awakened by the voice of a female saying, "Aww," and it was really loud. I quickly jumped up and covered my breast because I thought that it may have been a relative that had come to see my son. I sat up and can see that no one was in the room other than my son and I. After about a minute, my husband walks in the room to check on us, and he noticed that I was startled and asked if I was okay. And I told him what had happened, and he started freaking out because something had happened to him too. As I mentioned, he was in the living room playing Xbox, and he says that he was sitting there on the couch with his headphones on and his back to the doorway that led to a dark hallway. He got the sense that someone was watching him, so he turned around and saw that it was no one. He shook it off and continued to play, but by this time he says he got a vision of a lady standing behind him in the doorway. The lady had dark hair and some sort of trauma to her head. Again, he turned around and nobody was there. He tried to shake it off again, but this time the feeling was more intense, and he had another vision of the same lady hovering over our son's bassinet. Wow, that's powerful. At this point, my husband got up to go check on us, and that's when he came in the room to find me sitting up. After we told each other what had happened to us, we were in complete shock that we had experienced this basically at the same time. My husband saw the lady and I heard her, and a few months of unexplained events like books falling off of shelves, shadows, noises, and even an apparition happening in our son's nursery. We decided to have a priest from a local church come by and bless the house, and the priest came and we started with the blessing, and he had me hold a white candle as he prayed and instructed me to let him know if the candle blew out at any time. As we walked through the house, we got to my son's nursery, and out of nowhere the candle blew out. I let him know that the candle was no longer lit. He grabbed his lighter and lit the candle again, but this time he began praying more aggressively in my son's nursery. My husband and I looked at each other in complete shock and completely covered in goosebumps. The priest finished the blessing, and we felt the environment in the house to be significantly lighter. After a few days, we went to my mother-in-law's house, and we told her what had been happening. And she said her sister, my husband's aunt, lived in that house for a few years and had reported that there were multiple unexplained events in that room, like an apparition of a man, noises, shadows, and even a television falling off of its stand. Needless to say, we stayed at the house for almost a year and finally moved out to another home. I really hope you find this story to be worthy to be on your podcast. Peace and love always. Well, absolutely. I love the listener submissions the most. To me, that's the most profound part of the show, and that's because, I mean, these are your experiences. I mean, it's like I'm hearing right from somebody who's experienced something. It's not like I'm hearing, hey, I heard this one thing this one time about this one deal that happened, and you don't know how to take those. But when you guys are writing them in, I think that that's incredibly powerful. I had never heard about this candle thing that was used during house blessings. I think that's interesting. It really does. It's kind of surprising to me how much rituals are involved in such things as worship and with occult practices. And by occult practices, I'm not saying dark evil. Of course, there are rituals to those too, but occult just means hidden. It just means not widely known, basically. So by saying that, I'm talking about Wiccans or Druids or shamans and medicine people, as well as the other types of practitioners out there, including what is another one, like the hermetics, people practicing hermetics, et cetera, et cetera. So it's funny the amount of similarities sometimes in rituals, even though they're a completely different belief system. And I find that really powerful and really interesting. And I guess it's all about symbolism, right? Because the candle, of course, is a symbol of the light of God in this situation, radiating into the home and the blessings of the light of God, I suppose. And when that was blown out, that was hindering the ritual to be finished, the prayer to be finished or whatever. And so in order to finish that, it was necessary to relight that candle. And I think that that's powerful. I mean, it is. And the thing is that symbols are powerful as long as we believe they are. And I've said this many times in the past, but I'll say it again. I mean, I firmly believe that it's, as in the case of Christianity, Christ said, "It is done unto you as you believe." And I think that there's a lot of really strong truth in that statement, in that your belief is what powers the faith. It is your faith, your belief, that empowers the religion. And, if you believe a symbol is strong and potent, it will be. You could go into a house with a piece of cheese, and if you believed in your heart of hearts that this cheese was the most holy artifact and so incredibly powerful, you could banish demons with a piece of cheese if you really believed that cheese was powerful. And it's because of the belief you give it. And that might be kind of out there for some of you guys, and I don't ever mean to offend anybody's sensibilities or their religion or anything like that. That's not what this is about. But it's about how these things are manifest with us. And I think that the fact that somebody believes in something creates the power of that something. So take it or leave it, but a wonderful story. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to hearing so many more. That will be absolutely wonderful. I just got to see. Oh, YouTube had flagged one of my videos. I don't know why it happens. It's got to be the algorithm, but it flagged one of my videos as not okay for all advertisers. And so I was like, what? I'm not doing anything controversial or weird on the show. So I did a claim on it, and they got back to me and said, nope, it's fine. So we got that going for us, ladies and gentlemen. But that was a great start. I love starting with the listener emails when we get them. So keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. That really is my favorite part of the show. In fact, when I've said it before as well, when I started thinking of the Paranormal Portal, what I wanted it to be, I really wanted it to be like Sasquatch Chronicles, where it was just a listener-driven show. That to me would be exciting, and has been exciting when you guys have participated. Not that that's the only way we can do the show, but it's just wonderful. It adds so much depth to every episode when you guys send in emails or call in or whatever the case may be. So I just wanted to start with that one, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did. Let's see. I just got to move that. Okay, I can see the call board, so if you want to call in tonight, tonight's your night, 720-923-0500. Last night on the show, we did bedtime stories about cryptids, and I I came across a story of this monster spider that was observed in God. I hate when my head does that. It was observed in the tropical country these people were visiting. Dominican Republic, that's where it is. It was in the Dominican Republic, and then these people were in a hotel. It was more of an open air hotel and such, but the husband was in the bathroom, the wife was on the bed reading, and suddenly the husband comes out from brushing his teeth, pale as a ghost, and tells his wife she's got to see what he's seeing. So she looks into the bathroom from where she's at and can see a spider, like the legs of a spider coming out from behind the vanity, from behind the sink and stuff. And she says these legs were at least 10 inches long, just the legs. And so she estimated, and the rest of it was blocked. She couldn't see the entirety of it. Apparently the husband saw the entirety of it. But she estimates this spider was probably around 2 feet wide from leg tip to leg tip, including the torso. And that's absolutely terrifying, frightening kind of stuff. And we did receive some input from Robin Moonshadow, and I want to get to that and read parts of this. This is a long article that she sent, but it talks about the giant spiders of the Congo. Now, apparently there's a lot of these reported over in the Congo in Africa, which I think that's where I've heard of a bunch of them. I was thinking it was South America, but I think it does sound right that it was from the Congo. Oh, man, this font's not good. So among the world's most feared, despised, and revered creatures are spiders. They appear in legends and myth from Greek mythology to African folklore, and even appear as a 150-foot geoglyph in the Nazca Desert in Peru. Spiders come in a variety of colors and sizes, ranging from very thin, the Samoan moss spider measuring only 0.3 millimeters, to extra large, which is the Goliath bird-eating spider, measuring around 12 inches in diameter, and to the huge Jaba fofi, F-O-F-I. I guess she says Chaba fofi. Okay, I wasn't too far off. I love it when she puts descriptions, pronunciation descriptions. That helps out a bunch. And it says with a leg span measuring 4 to 6 feet in length. The Jaba fofi live deep in the Congo, and according to the natives, they build huge webs spanning from tree to tree, using leaves as a sort of camouflage, often crossing game trails in other parts of the Amazon. The giant spiders use a different web technique where they dig burrows under the tree roots and cover the burrow with webs and trip lines, which they camouflage with leaves, similar to the technique used by the trapdoor spider. The adults, Jabafofa, are said to look like a giant tarantula, dark brown in color, with a body measuring 28 to 30 inches, just the body. Circumference. Yeah, I'm watching. Oh, somebody just called in. All right, I will get to the phone call in just a second. Let me go through a little more of this about the spiders here. Let's see, and now I lost my spot. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Roughly the size of a basketball. The prominent fangs and very potent venom, when standing full form, they are as tall as a human. Now that's terrifying. That's just freaking terrifying. Oh, God. The eggs of the Jabafofi are pale yellow and are the size and shape of peanut shells. 1 to 2 inches. Young Jabafofi are bright yellow with a purple abdomen, but become dark brown as they mature. The natives avoid these nests at all costs, often taking a longer route to their destination to avoid them. Yeah, I can't blame them. The native peoples of the Congo tell stories of the giant Congolese spider coming into their villages, killing livestock and taking away small animals and even children. What's more is they build their huts with thatched roofs using a steep pitch to the ground and lightly spaced walls to prevent spiders from creeping inside. At a young age, one villager claims to have seen one of these giant spiders come into his village, snatch up a small dog, inject it with its venom, and return back into the jungle with the dog in its grip, all in just a matter of seconds. Oh, God. That is so horrible. Well, let me get to this call because we can come back to this article on the giant spiders. Let's see what's going on here. And this is area code 936. You're on the air.
Hey, Brent. My name is Brent as well. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah, I hear you great. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Brent. I already know you're a great guy just because
Nice
of the
meeting
name.
you. I was going to say the same thing to you, brother. Yeah, I actually heard about your podcast about a week ago, listening to the Confessionals podcast, and I'm really glad that I heard that episode. I mean, this seems like a
Oh,
great community that you guys have here. I mean, I really like the way that you present on your show. It seems very non-biased, and you have a lot of patience with your callers. I mean, even while I find myself yelling at the screen sometimes, telling people to get off the line,
sure.
you handle it very well. So it's very respectable. But I guess the reason I wanted to call is just, I guess, give a quick story and kind of get you guys' feedback on
Okay.
this situation that happened. I did a interview with Tony on the Confessionals. It's been about probably a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, almost immediately after the interview, I guess I'd say, quote unquote, paranormal activity started happening. Now, it was before the episode even aired, so I don't know if it necessarily is connected in any way or just happenstance the way things worked out.
Okay.
So I guess the story that I'll tell that happened, we were getting ready to move from Loveland, Colorado back to Texas. We had all of our stuff packed and we're my wife and I are asleep in bed, and, I'm having a weird dream, I guess I'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a dream about a shadow figure kind of chasing me around saying, let us in, let us in. But in the voice it was speaking in, it was like a child's voice. So the best way that I could describe it would be to say, if you've ever seen Poltergeist, they have this smaller lady that has the real high-pitched voice, almost like a child's voice.
Yeah,
They're here, that
Tangina.
high-pitched, creepy voice.
Yep.
And so it's chasing me around saying, let us in, let us in.
Oh.
And right before it grabs onto me, my wife, she elbows me. And she's like, baby, wake up. And, I kind of come out of my stupor. And she's like, did you hear that? There's kids talking in the room.
Ooh.
And, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm kind of laughing in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm talking in a child's voice while I sleep, and I'm finding it kind of amusing. Well, I go to work the next day and, I'm laughing about it. I'm telling people at work, like, dude, I was talking in a kid's voice, while I was sleeping last night, and I'm, having a good chuckle about it, even though it was a kind of freaky dream. Well, fast forward about 6 months later, we're in Texas at our new home, and I'm sleeping in the same situation. Got a shadow figure type chasing me, and it's saying, just say that, we could come in. Just say we could come in. And it's in that same high-pitched voice. And then another voice comes up, and it's like, come in. But before I could finish, or whatever it was could finish saying, come in, my wife elbows me. She's like, baby. And, I snap out of it before the come in is finished being said in my head. And right away, how you could have a complete thought in your head instantly about what's going on. It's instantly I'm thinking as I'm coming out of my sleep, it's like, man, I'm talking in a kid's voice again, and she tells me, she was like, were you just standing over the top of me? And I'm like, no, I'm sleeping in the bed, and she's kind of freaked out. She was like, there was just a shadow, like a shadow, a silhouette standing on my side of the bed, just staring down at me. And of course, I don't go into details as far as, she's a very faithful Christian woman. She doesn't study the occult at all, doesn't look into it. And
Sure.
I, on the other hand, I'm fascinated by it.
Okay.
So I don't want to freak out my wife in any way. So I don't say what was going on in my dream, and I don't reiterate what had happened before. But, it's been 2 separate times now that I've had that dream. And both times, right at the crescendo of the dream, right when the shadow figure is grabbing onto me, or right when the voice the second time is saying, come in, before it could finish, she wakes me up out of it. And I have to say that, after the second time, whenever she said that, I'm fully expecting, I heard kids' voices, and it turns out that she says, there's a shadow standing over me looking down. and I thought it was you, then immediately, the first incident comes back into my head, and it's just, it's a weird thing to take in, and I've asked people about it before. And of course, people's knee-jerk reaction, whether it's true or not, is to say, oh, it's demons, it's demons this or demons that, which I'm not saying it's not, but, I just figured it'd be, it's an interesting story nonetheless. I just figured I'd share.
It is. And I think that it's incredibly profound. It's demonstrating not only something that you're experiencing in your head, but you're something that is experienced in the environment you're in. So that makes it incredibly profound. But hold on to the phone, Brent. I'm going to put you on hold, and we will come back to you on the other side of the break, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal.
Fear. Real people. Real radio.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second half hour of the show. Just for any of you that are new to the show, the reason we have to take breaks on Friday and Saturday nights is because we are tied into our parent network, which is TFRlive.com, excuse me. And during TFR Live, it's an internet radio station that also broadcasts on iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. And they have to have scheduled breaks on there, and I can't do anything about it. And it's wonderful. I wouldn't change it for the world. But what I first used to do way back when was just play a song or something, with a tile like "We'll Be Right Back." But I just think that it wasn't very engaging for people, so I put together these video clip things to happen during those commercial breaks. I can't rebroadcast the commercials from the network onto YouTube because, well, I don't have the permission to do that, nor do you guys want to hear that, I'm sure. So that's what those breaks during these 2-hour shows are about. We don't have to do it on Wednesday. Wednesday is just a straight shot, but on Friday, Saturday, when we are connected to that network, we need to do that, just so you guys understand, because that always comes up. Thanks, Jerry. Let's see. I've got Brent on hold right now, and he just shared with us his story. Brent, are you there? Are you there, Brent?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. So we were talking about Brent's story just on the other side of the break. And it's very, very interesting, and it's very powerful. A lot of things are coming to mind personally. How long ago was this?
I'd say the first incident was about a year and a half ago, and it was pretty darn close to probably immediately a year after that. They weren't close together at all. And okay. I'd also like to point out that these are the only 2 times that, my wife has woken me up with an incident like that. It's not a reoccurring theme that I'm woken up, because something spooky is going on.
Right.
So yeah, that's another thing that just seems to add an extra bit of a weird factor to me about it, is that, both times she's been the one that's pulled me out of it. It's I don't know. I don't really know what to think about it.
Well, I think it's really powerful that she has, and it's it almost to me it kind of demonstrates the connection you two have, and that's really powerful, because there must be some part of her that's bringing her out of a deep sleep, but she's also experiencing phenomena along with you in the room, and I think that's equally concerning. I don't pretend to know what it is, but it seems to be, I don't know. It seems to be obviously something dark. I really don't believe it's a demonic kind of thing. But it does seem to be something dark that's, I don't know. I don't know what the end game for something like this is. It's a tough one, brother. And what I would like to say, though, is that you've had 2 experiences so far, but they were separated by a year. And right now you're at about the half-year mark from the second one, right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's probably accurate. Year to probably 10 months or so.
Is there anything significant about the time of year that these are happening? Anything that sticks out in your mind? Anything in the area that's significant to this?
No, these have been in 2 completely different states. Okay. There's nothing as far as a time of year. Well, I can't say that I've ever thought about that, so I didn't even take note of what time of year. I would guess that it's, probably in the fall, but at the same time, that's just a stab in the dark, and it could have very well been the spring, for all I know, in all honesty.
Okay, but you haven't quite hit the 3rd year cycle of when this usually occurs, or about when it occurs. So since it's happened in 2 distinct locations, then it's obviously tied to you somehow. And it can be, it can be a symbolic thing. If it's a spiritual thing, it can be very symbolic to an internal struggle that you're manifesting somehow. It could be you manifesting it, just if you have some kind of internal struggle with, your spirituality or the direction you're trying to go in your spirituality, or it could be an absolutely foreign presence. I'm just running through ideas of things that it might be. But sometimes, oddly enough, we are incredibly powerful beings, and I'm not saying that that's what you're doing, so don't get me wrong. I'm just throwing the idea out there as food for thought. But and only your experience and your situation. But we have incredible, ability to manifest things in our lives, and we are creator beings, in my opinion. And so, I don't know. I mean, the thing is that if it's something you feel you would like to address, I do have resources for you to do that if you're interested.
I mean, I don't really know how to respond to that, to be
Okay.
honest with you. It's one of those deals where, all three potential factors that, you mentioned could be a root cause.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with all three of those. It could be stress, it could be inner conflict, it could be something dark. And, that's really the reason, I like running it past people that I don't want to say have the same ideas as me, but, pretty much I would take a stab in the dark and say that 90% of everybody listening to this right now, is, I don't want to say looking for a different spirituality, but they're looking for answers more than just, what's directly presented to everybody gift wrap as, this is the one, the one true answer. You have to believe this, and this is the one path forward. But yeah, it's nice to hear, your perspective on the potentials that it could be. And I would say that I agree with all three of those. And I'm not saying that I would turn down your resources, because I would definitely be interested to hear anybody's thoughts on the matter. It's not whether they're an expert or
Sure.
amateur. Everybody has a different piece that they can contribute to the puzzle. So it'd be interesting. I don't think it's something that I'm going to get an answer for, unless, like you said, coming up on year 3, maybe there'll be a third part to the story.
Right.
It just seems like, each time it gets a little bit closer. I mean, this last one was dang near on me. And, it's the words were coming out, it was at the end of saying come in, and then that's when I was jarred awake. So,
right.
Yeah. And it's not, I'm not really freaked out by the situation. I find it very interesting. And immediately afterwards, I'd be lying if I said that it didn't give me goosebumps and, start running through my head, playing back both instances. But I don't feel intimidated by it. But at the same time, that might be unwise of me to feel that way. Yeah, it may be something that I should be very intimidated by. So I'm definitely open to hear anybody's thoughts on the matter, or even if, like you said, your resources, I would be interested to hear their thoughts on it just the same.
I suspect that part of this is that this is just, my intuition or whatever you want to call it, but I suspect that you're a gifted person, and I don't like that term gifted, because it seems to draw a distinction between people and elevate some and lower others, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But I think that you may have some latent ability of your own, and that could be part of the manifestation. So and why it's manifesting. If it is something else, it could be why, because a lot of times people with abilities tend to serve to be beacons for these other things that are out there. And so if that is the case, then I think it's probably good that you learn about it and maybe learn how to protect yourself, if that is what's going on. So what I would like you to do, if you're interested and you'd like to pursue this, please just email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and we'll continue this dialogue, and I'll put you in touch with someone that I think will be able to help you out and hopefully dial this in a little bit.
Okay, that sounds great. I'll definitely shoot you an email.
All right, brother. Well, I really, really appreciate you sharing this. I mean, it's an incredible story. It really is. It's the fact that you were asleep having an experience, and your wife was awoken by that same experience, but a different part of the manifestation, really leads me to believe that it was a very real experience. And so I think it definitely would be a great idea to at least look into it. I mean, if there's nothing to worry about, then there's nothing to worry about, but it'll cost you absolutely nothing. It's not an issue of price or money. It's just hopefully we can help you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And it's very nice meeting you once again. I really I really enjoy the show, and it's introduced myself in the chat room, and everybody seems really cool in there. So it's nice meeting all of you as well. I appreciate all of you, and thank you for listening to me.
All right, brother. Well, thanks again for calling in and being a part of the show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. That's very cool. I mean, that's a solid story. That's a conundrum. There's so many variables that could be at work on this one, but we'll get it all sorted, I'm sure. So, but thank you again. That's awesome. I love it when you guys call in. So the phone lines are open if somebody else wants to share. I'd love to hear more. So, where Cha-Cha go? Cha-Cha, that name. Arr. So anyway, let's continue our journey. I was reading about from Robin Moonshadow's stuff here. I want to get back to that because that's just creepy. That's creepy. A big spider's running into a village and grabbing a dog and running back. I don't know how you could. I mean, could you stay in a village where a spider might just charge out and grab small animals or children or something and run back? I couldn't. I'd be moving. There's no way. I'd be noping out. Let's see. I want to see where I was at with this. Okay. So one of the oldest reported sightings of the Jabba Fofi was in 1890 from English missionary Arthur Sims, S-I-M-E-S. He was en route to the village on the shore of Lake Nyasa in Uganda, exploring as he traveled, when several of the porters became ensnared in a huge sticky web that hung from one tree to another and down to the ground. While in the process of cutting his porters from the web, which was incredibly difficult to cut through, two large spiders with a leg span of around 4 feet appeared and attacked the men trapped in the web. Sims fired his pistol at the spiders and they hurried away. Sims rescued the porters from the web, but the damage was already done. Within minutes of being rescued, the men became feverish and the site of their bites became swollen. They died shortly afterwards. Oh, man. No, that's just terrible. Ugh. One of the most well-known and documented sightings came from Reginald R.K. Lloyd and his wife in 1938. They were driving down a road when they spotted what they first thought may be a monkey. However, as they drove closer, they were astonished to find it was a spider as big as a jungle cat. The estimated leg span was 5 feet. The Lloyds were people of good character and were quite familiar with the wildlife in Africa. During the Kokado Track campaign of 1942 and 1943 of World War II, an Australian soldier came upon a large web 10 to 15 feet across. A large web 10 to 15 feet across. Within this web, he saw a puppy-sized spider, as described it as being all black with a thick body with hair like a tarantula. Another reported encounter during World War II came from a man named Craig, who told of how his grandfather happened upon a giant spider near Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea. Its web was 3 feet long, emerald green, and shiny, but surprisingly, it was not hairy. Craig's grandfather was so frightened by this huge spider that he killed it with his machete. Kill it with fire, kill it with fire. Like I said, I love spiders, but I'm not that big. A person known only by the username of Mr. Maxima claims that their father-in-law said that while he was on a scouting mission in Vietnam as part of a 5-man team, the team encountered massive spiders that had bodies the size of dinner plates, and he estimated the total length of the legs to be 20 to 30 inches. So just the bodies were the size of dinner plates, and then there was big, huge legs. The team opened fire on the spiders and their M16s, and although they had been hit by bullets, he claimed the spiders were still moving around. He also said the spiders were often seen near water sources, which would mean the father-in-law had seen these spiders on multiple occasions during his time in Vietnam. Another report comes from a woman named Debbie, who says the father of one of her friends, while serving in Vietnam, had walked into the bush to perform his daily constitutional. I love those refined ways of saying going to boop. He noticed a very large spider web, and it was the color of cotton like thread, covering 10 to 15 foot area horizontally and vertically, including a tree. And as he was looking over this impressive web, he then saw a black spider the size of a small dog, only a few feet from his head. Oh no. That's a quick way to get done with your daily constitutional. It had thick legs and a very bulky body. He left the area very slowly and very cautiously. These giant spiders are not restricted to the thick jungles of the Congo or faraway rainforests. They may be found in unexpected places, perhaps even our own backyards. Sheila, a librarian, related her encounter from 2001. She was driving along Nottingham's Stonebridge Road one evening when her car's headlights shone on what she thought was a hedgehog. But as she drew closer, it was clear that it wasn't a hedgehog, but rather a huge hairy spider. It resembled a tarantula, but it was about the size of a dinner plate with legs about 2 feet long. She watched it crawl across the road, through a fence. Once it passed, she quickly drove away. In 1948, William Sladen, along with his wife and 3 young grandsons, were walking to church one evening along Highway 171 in Leesville, Louisiana, USA, and they watched a massive black spider the size of a wash tub and covered with hair emerge from a ditch, cross the road in front of them, and disappearing into the shrubs on the other side of the road. As you can understand, the family said that they never walked that stretch of road again. Yeah, I don't blame them. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't either. In Kentucky, in the summer of 1981 or 1982, Robert A. was mowing the grass for his elderly father, who lived on a back road surrounded by thick woodland, and at that time there were just a few houses in the area. It was a hot day, and he had stopped to take a break at the far end of the property in the shade from a tree. Robert had only sat and leaned back against the tree for a few moments before he heard the pitter-patter of feet above him, which he thought was a squirrel, until he turned to see the biggest spider he had ever seen in his life. It was as big as a hubcap and black in color. He ran back to the house to fetch his gun, but by the time he returned to the tree, the spider was gone. After the incident, Robert didn't let his children play in the backyard anymore. Yeah, no kidding. In Bedford, Nova Scotia, Canada, in 2016, a woman reported seeing what she called a giant house spider that was 1 to 2 feet in length, black or dark brown in color, running across her front yard one evening. There have also been unconfirmed sightings of giant spiders in Cambodia, Central Africa, Australia, Venezuela, United States, and Mexico. Some of these sightings could be attributed to misidentification of known tarantulas, or perhaps a pet spider which may have escaped from its owner. But what about the people who live along huge spiders every day? The natives of the Congo know exactly what a spider is and often hunt regular-sized tarantulas as part of their diet. And why not? Spiders are related to crabs, after all. Well, I suppose they are, but I don't know. Are they good? Several specialty eateries are... I don't want to talk about people eating big spiders. Anyway, that's about all for the huge spiders. They got a picture. She's got a picture of coconut crab. But this article is from Robin's blog, and it's strangerealms.net. And it's so if you ever get a chance, check it out. She's of course a many-time guest of the show, and she does a lot of research into the crypto or the proto-pygmies rather, and such as the gnomes and the pukwudgies and the duendes and et cetera, et cetera. But she also obviously has quite a scope in her paranormal research. So it's definitely a wonderful site. So check it out, strangerealms.net. And also you can find Robin's group on Facebook. Just look for the group Strange Realms, and you can be a part of the discussion over there. I'm a part of that discussion. It's a good show, or a good site. So, but very, very cool. And I don't know what you guys think of creepy spiders, but I mean, I like small spiders. I like the ones that, I can like get into a cup or shoo out the door, or even leave them in the house. I love those little jumping spiders. Those things are cute as hell, and they just hop all over the place. They're just hilarious. But if that same spider was the size of a dinner plate, no way in hell. I mean, that's that's one of those situations where you hit first and then seek the morality of it later, I think. But wow, very powerful. And a great job. Robin always does a great job on her research. So, but I don't know. I don't want to see one of those ever. It sounds like it's something out of science fiction. And these are one of those situations where, why aren't we finding, because as spiders grow, they shed their skin. They shed the shell of their skin, and it splits and they come out, and their new shell is a little bit soft for a while and then it hardens up. But why isn't anybody finding these huge shells that would have been left over by these things? If they are indeed here. And that's just one of those questions that jumps into my head. And I'm not trying to be too analytical about it, but I mean, those things have to be considered. Because again, I don't think a spider's making choices like, well, I got to shed the shell down in that cave because otherwise people might find it and then they'll come looking for me. I mean, I don't believe a spider's probably going to be making that much of a high order type of decision making. So that's the part to me that I don't understand, but maybe people see these shells all the time, but just think maybe they look just like piles of leaves or whatever. I don't know. I don't pretend to know, really. I guess it's possible that whatever they're shedding looks exactly like the foliage and it blends in. I guess that's a possibility. Who knows? Spider poop. Oh, no. The chat room's at it again, ladies and gentlemen. But big spiders, that's one of the cryptids out there. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on that one. I guess I can close this other article because it looks like Robin covered it, and I had opened a couple other things up to talk about it as well. But looks like Robin's covered it. Those coconut crabs are really creepy looking too. They're just huge, and they literally are like the size of a beagle, but they're a big crab and they can like crack open a coconut shell. That's just so much strength and power. All right, so this one, let's see. No, we covered that one. So I can close that one, and I think I can close this one too. Spiders. This is another one that had to do with the spiders. Yeah, no, that's just another repeat. So that's the problem with the paranormal, is it's repeated about 50,000 different places on the interwebs. But that's why sites like Robin's is great, because she does all this hunting for it. But I didn't think her article mentioned a lot of these other things, but it did. It was really well done. Now, this one I don't think was covered, though. And this is coming from cryptozoologynews.com. And when is the date on this, though? I'm trying to see when it was actually reported. Okay, so I guess I don't see a date, but maybe we'll run through one. We'll run into one as we read here, but let me look at the clock. Oh, we're actually got about a minute 44, so I'll read this when we come back. And not that I wanted the show to be all about giant spiders, but ever since I read that story last night, it's just been kind of creeping me out. So it made me feel like I wanted to talk about it more and discuss some of the other giant spider stuff out there. And, it's an interesting deal. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please check out our podcast. It's a newer venture for Don and I. As you can tell, we're meeting a whole bunch of wonderful new people as a result of doing the podcast. And special thanks to Revolver Podcast for making that possible. And special thanks to Wes Germer for pointing us in that direction. I really appreciate it. I wouldn't have thought about it if he hadn't said, well, why aren't you doing this? So he mentioned it to me, and I was like, wow, that's a great idea. Okay. So we did it, and we're now out there. We do 3 podcasts a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And our Monday shows are generally about spirits, ghosts. Our Wednesday shows are generally about UFOs. And our Friday shows are generally about Bigfoots and cryptids and stuff. But as the show progresses, we're just having that specific formula right up front. But we'll get into other things like time slips and Mandela effects and more and more and more. So, all right, we're going to go to our hour break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. We'll be right back for more of the Paranormal Portal. See you in a couple minutes.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me, and their lies keep falling apart. I am finished with my silence. I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness. Just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise. You're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity. Just make sure that you're well fed. I'm not wrong yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken
I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And welcome back. I'm not always sure what the hell I'm doing here, but I'm having fun doing it. So I got that going for us. So I hope you're having a good night too. Enjoying the show, enjoying all of this talk of giant spider cryptids. I didn't realize there was so much out there on the subject until I started digging into it today. I was like, my God, there's a lot of this stuff out there. But I guess I should ask Robin first because she had it all encapsulated in one nice article, except for this one. And this is, again, it's Cryptozoology News that I'm going to read to you now. And it's Fisherman Spots Giant Spider in Missouri River. So, yep, even up in Missouri. Now, I don't know for sure when this came from, but I'm going to read you this article. I don't know when it was posted. I don't see a date on this page. It does reference a lot of those other spiders in it too, but let's read it. It says, Lexington, Montana. A man had an eerie encounter Saturday while fishing the Missouri River on a stretch between Kansas City and Lexington, Missouri. L. Smith, 45, claims he saw a strange, hairy critter he wasn't able to identify. The creature, he said, was at least 5 feet wide and had long, hairy legs that looked like a spider. I'm lucky to go fishing almost every weekend, wife allowing, so I know what kind of animals live around here, and I have plenty of experience around the woods and the river. It was around noon. I sit down a few minutes for a smoke when I start hearing dry leaves moving on the left. I turn my head to where I heard the noise, and I see a huge, long pair of hairy legs grabbing my canteen that I just placed there a few seconds ago. Sheesh, it scared the bejesus out of me. I almost swallowed my smoke. Smith says the incident only lasted a few seconds and that he wasn't able to get many details of the creature. It was fast. It felt like when a spider catches its prey. I can tell you the hairs on the legs looked black, very thick, attached to the legs. It reminded me of the quills of a porcupine, only I guarantee you that was not a porcupine. Porcupines don't have long legs like that. You've seen those spiders from the cartoons where they come out of the quicksand? Something like that. I don't think I've seen that cartoon. But I don't know. Smith investigated the area where he claims the incident occurred, but he wasn't able to find a hole on the ground where the alleged spider made its appearance. I know people won't believe me, but that thing is not something you'd find any place in America. I don't believe it either. That thing measured, I estimated, around 5 feet wide. The Jibafofi, also known as the Congolese giant spider, is well known among the natives of Central Africa. This cryptid arthropod presumably has been a favorite subject of researchers across the world. Local stories tell these 5-foot spiders construct tunnels around the tree roots and then cover them with leaves, allowing them to ambush their prey. The eggs are supposed to be yellow, and the spiderlings are bright yellow with purple color. Yeah, we've covered that. George Eberhardt describes the people's encounters with these creatures in his book, Mysterious Creatures, A Guide to Cryptozoology, Volume 1. Oh, I might have to check that out. Naturalist Williams J. Givens writes he learned about these creatures from the natives while looking for the Mokele Mbembe. The Mokele Mbembe is basically a brontosaurus that is rumored to still live in Africa. The alleged living dinosaur. These giant ground-dwelling spiders prey on the diminutive forest antelope, birds, and other small game, and are said to be extremely dangerous, not to mention highly venomous. Most of the Jabafofi sightings have happened in Congo, although there are a few reports coming from Papua New Guinea, Louisiana, Cameroon, Brazil, and Texas. This is the first known report of a giant spider sighting in Missouri. However, we don't have a date for when that happened. I guess there's some comments that were made on it by readers, but I don't know. Very wild. That's craziness. I don't know what to think of these damn spiders. 5 feet spider is a lot of spider. That's a lot of spider. I don't know. That really unnerves the hell out of me. And I'm not really worried that I'm going to run into one, but just the idea, just conceptualizing that, like, I feel bad for bugs when they get in the spider web and it's like, ooh, that poor bastard. You know? And so I don't know, when it's something that could be like your dog or your cat or, God forbid, any of those, or worse, a child or a person. That's just a heartbreaker. It's just, ugh. I find it hard to believe that we went all this way just to become food. Just saying. I'm just looking at some of the articles. See if I can find a date, but there's no date on this, ladies and gentlemen. But the phone lines are open if you want to call in and talk. I'm here. 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 in my best radio voice. So, yeah. Oh, this one looks like it might be good. From 6 days ago. I hadn't heard about this. Oh, that one looks like it might be good too. From 2 weeks ago. Let's pull up a couple of these. I'm interested. So this one is from the same site, Cryptozoology News again. I can't claim any credit for this. But it says Missouri family claims seeing Bigfoot. And we were just talking about Missouri. So not only do they have big spiders, but they got Bigfoots too. You know what actually occurred to me when hearing that guy's account of the giant spider in Missouri is a lot of times I've heard it referenced in regards to Bigfoot that they belly crawl. And by belly crawl, it's like they really like get down with their chests and bellies like rubbing on the ground, and they're kind of crawling almost like a spider is what I've envisioned when people have explained that. So I wonder if perhaps that fisherman just had caught a glimpse of a squatch coming in to try to take something of his and then scooting away. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. Spider crawl. Duke says spider crawl. Duke, what do you think of that? What are the odds of that? You think that guy might have seen just a squatch? Or does that sound like it could have been a squatch? That's what's occurring to me. But I don't know. Because they apparently get right down to the ground. I mean, like they're just right on the ground and their arms are out and they're just doing this, except flat on the ground. I don't know. It's just really curious to me. Lines are open. You're right. I may be right. Well, it just occurred to me now because it's like, why just out of nowhere in all places, Missouri, would there just be this giant spider? I don't know. It doesn't stand to reason to me unless there's some kind of subterranean species naturally and they've kind of worked their way up because of seismic activity or something. I don't know. You try to find reason for these things and maybe there is no reason for it, but it's just an idea. Miss Diane is calling in, so I guess we should see what's on her mind tonight. How you doing, Diane?
Hey. Well, since you asked,
Well.
I guess I could call in.
Well, call. There you are.
So, gosh, a lot of spider talk here. There'll be people never sleeping again.
I know, that's creepy.
weird phenomena around here again. I'm gonna have to clear it out again around here.
Okay. What's
Seems
going?
like every summer we have a bout of God knows what. I guess people bring in stuff with them as they migrate. But, oh yeah. What was I? There was something I wanted to tell you about so bad. And it's like, shoot.
Well, just tell me about the
evading.
phenomena that you've been experiencing. What's going on?
Oh, well, once again, I have things disappearing.
Oh.
And lights flickering when I'm trying to talk to somebody about something sensitive. And, oh, yes, and Roger, Mud Fossil Roger, he's gone on from just earthly mud fossils to he found some stones that he felt were biology that were meteorite. And because they had the red coloration, the iron coloration on the inside.
Uh-huh.
And apparently, now if he finds out that that is biology, that is human biology, because you can test with some of these rocks, test for DNA, test positive for DNA. So some of these rocks are definitely were alive, which means if you find a heart, now I guess this goes with the giant spiders and the squatches and whatever, but if you find a heart the size of a, boulder or a brain, he insists that this one rock that nobody can figure anything out about, it has all these little crinkles and stuff, and it's huge. He says that's a brain.
Oh.
But if he finds that the DNA, because he's found DNA on these things.
See, I don't understand how that's even possible, because if it's a rock, even if it was living tissue at one time, if it's a rock, that means the minerals have replaced all of the natural tissues.
They don't replace all of it, apparently. One of his friends found a rock that when he broke it open, it had blood. You could practically, he says, it actually bled, and then it turned black.
Huh.
It clotted and turned black. But he insists that that some blood is kind of preserved in the stone. Now, probably it's not in the same state as it would be if the person was alive, because it turns, if it's spent blood, it turns black. If it's fresh blood, it turns red. And that's one of the ways you're in biology. But, well, you're saying that it would have all been replaced by stone, but maybe
I'm not
some
sure.
of the big they're not.
I don't know. I guess it's, it may be possible, because I've heard stories of living frogs and toads being removed from million-year-old stones, like they're encased in there or something. And I don't understand that either, but, it's a phenomenon that pops up every once in a while. So I don't know. There's so much to know, and there's so much that it's impossible to know. But, some of these stories are just like, really? Could that be possible? A frog could be in some sort of stasis for a million years, and then suddenly the rock gets cracked open from a deep mine, and out comes a frog, and the inside of the rock is like as if it was a mold to make a frog in. It looks like like a frog mold inside of the rock.
Oh, God.
Have you not heard of that?
That would be a surprise, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. It was like,
cracking open a rock, and you know what? I'm going to have to ask some of my gemologist friends. I think I will, too.
Yeah.
If anything like that has ever happened to them.
Well, yeah.
But I know that snakes can freeze themselves. Small snakes freeze themselves over the winter in a pond, and then when they thaw out, they start eating again. They start eating small fish. Huh. I know that can happen, and I know that some amphibians and some reptiles can do that. I don't know about spiders and insects. I would think maybe there are insects that could do it too. Maybe that would explain the giant arachnids. Wow, geez. So if I saw a spider that big,
yeah,
over in India or somewhere, they'd probably try and deep fry it and see if it tastes like chicken.
They just have to look for a really big banana leaf to roll them up in.
Yeah. Mm. Speaking of which, banana spiders, whatever. You know what? I am so convinced that one time some of these things must have been biological weapons.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
I mean, because I really wonder sometimes. We're getting, the more I see of people finding ancient architecture, ancient organs, people turned into stone because they were in the mud flood or whatever, and how huge they were, and how our planet has not always been the same state it is. At one time, probably, and we can't say this with certainty, but probably a Jupiter, or we had a different sun.
Mm-hmm. We had a what? We had a what?
We had a different sun than the current one.
Where does that come from?
You heard about that, right?
No.
That actually our sun has not always been so.
No.
Our sun was that long time ago. We had, I guess, Jupiter was our sun for a while or something. Or Saturn, was it? No, it was Saturn.
I don't know.
Saturn was our sun a long time ago.
I love you, Dee, but I don't know about that.
No, that was the Thunderbolts project, I think, came up with that. And no, they've got some evidence that really quite a long time ago, Saturn it is a gas giant, and was at one time, and it was that it's actually a brown dwarf, not as we would think of it as a planet.
But if it was
actually a brown dwarf star.
If it was a brown dwarf star, the magnet or the gravitational fields around it would be devastating to the rest of the solar system.
Well, apparently, Mercury doesn't get sucked into the sun, so I don't know.
Well, the sun's not that's not a dwarf, though. I mean, a dwarf is like after it's all burned out and it's kind of collapsed.
Well, you can check out the videos for yourself, folks. But
sure, no, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to discuss this because this is all brand new to me. I've never even heard mention of this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really?
No.
You haven't heard about this yet?
No.
Yeah, apparently very young planets. This is another weird thing, and it makes me wonder why some of us are so fascinated with the color purple. That's our color, Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about purple is, I remember reading an article, and this was a scientific article. This was not anything from a weird source. This was apparently very, very young planets. The flora, they would have like a purple lichen on them because of the way that they would be. And I can't remember what the scientific reason for that is. But in our case, supposedly, this idea with the purple, supposedly when Saturn was our brown dwarf sun, apparently this is part of all the cataclysms that we've been through. For a long time it was our sun. This is a story, okay? This is just the story that they tell. The narrative they tell is when it was our sun, it enveloped us in a sort of a purple haze. Thank you, Jimi Hendrix. And it would have been really impossible for us to see the stars outside of this, but everything would be in kind of a purple mist, and we would have a situation where it wasn't really light, it wasn't really dark, it was always kind of a twilight. And the life that would have happened there would have been quite a bit different than it would have been different than it is now. I mean, obviously, we've got a different kind of sun and everything, but I guess at that time, that would have been when things were bigger. We had a lot more oxygen in the atmosphere. The air pressure was higher, and that would be when you would have had your huge creatures. Uh-huh. So, but there are people who have researched this, and it's looking like. And what happened was, People kind of think of these systems as being stable, but they're anything but. Our solar system is not as stable as that. It's been planets and solar systems kind of do a little dance, and sometimes they change partners,
Wow.
like a square dance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
So,
doubt, I don't doubt that you're hearing this, and people in the chat room are backing you up. So but it is brand new to me. I mean, like, how old were you when you found out that Saturn could have been our sun at one point? I'm now old.
oh, that was a few years ago.
No, I mean, I'm now old. I just learned about it now. So
Well, I see what you mean.
yeah.
Okay, I wasn't understanding why you were. I wasn't understanding what the question was. I'm sorry, duh.
No.
But
it's fine.
I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, you know what? If you believe in reincarnation, and we had good lives during that time, because according to some people's memories, that time was said to be, when Saturn was our sun, was said to be a good time, a time when everything was in equality and there weren't any, it was a time of plenty, that we were actually protected by its field. And then there was this big thing that happened with Venus when Venus came into our Venus and Mars came into our solar system. There was a lot of tumult because, when a new planet shows up, I guess it's kind of rough on some of the other planets. There's going to be gravitational problems and everything caused. But some of these, we don't know how old some of these megalithic buildings are. I mean, I've been out to a place where I swear, I mean, this is in Ohio too. I swear that is not just a cliff, a rock cliff. I would swear that place, because it looks like there were stone steps cut. And we have them all over here, where it looks like somebody made stone steps.
Okay.
It doesn't just look like, they were broken off that way, that evenly spaced and everything. It looks like somebody made it that way, and these are very eroded. And I've been up to a tall area that really the steps, I can't help but walk over them and think, these were steps. These were steps. I mean, that's the feeling I get. This was not just naturally, didn't just happen. Somebody made this happen.
Yeah, I have no doubt that there's a whole level of archaeology that we've never been given information about, that we're only stumbling on with the artifacts out of time and stuff. But the whole different suns and stuff is like brand new. My head's still just reeling from that. So
I'm so glad I could bring that to you. Then
well, it is interesting. It really is. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm very interested too. I don't know how interested I am in knowing about it, but it's very unique. And for some reason, people have come to this conclusion. So I will look into it, just because I want to understand what are the methodologies being used to determine these kind of things. To me, it's brand new information. So I guess right off the bat, I'm just like, no way. But I'm going to look into it.
Well, it blew me away too. I'm like, what?
But yeah, but
what? Are you kidding me?
It's just there's so many ideas floating around that sometimes it just sounds like it's just bordering on the absurd. It's like, oh really? No, really that too? Okay, it's like, I don't know. It just really is hard to work my head around. So.
I know, but we are in the age when everything's supposed to be coming up to be seen. And I make a prediction right now here on this show. So mark these words. The year 2020 is when we're really going to be able to see things. Because it's just 2020 vision,
Oh, yeah.
We're already seeing really weird things that we never knew were here, but I think in the year 2020 we're going to see really well, like
Sure.
how wrong we've been, how much the wool has been pulled over our eyes. Well, I think the thing is, Brent, is it's hard to wrap your head around how could I be, if that is the truth, how could we be so blind as to not have seen that? And just tell ourselves that, no, the experts are right. This can't be, this feeling I have is not true. It's just a feeling. It's just a funny feeling that I have. But it's like there's some reason
we're going to go to break.
We're
going to go to break, so just hold that thought. I'll come back to you on the other side.
Okay.
But don't go away, everybody. We'll be right back for more of the last half hour of the Paranormal Portal in just a minute. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last half hour of the show. And remember to stick around following this show if you are listening on iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream Live, or TFR Live, as Paisley Wild will be coming up next on her show, The Spaces Between. And Paisley does a wonderful job. She's a dear friend of mine as well. Her show will be coming up next, and she does stream live on YouTube. So you can probably find The Spaces Between, or what is it? Yeah, it's The Spaces Between is her channel, I think, on YouTube. I think. With Paisley Wild. The Spaces Between, I don't know. Paisley, if you're in here, she might be already setting up, though. I don't know. But, yeah, definitely check it out. She's a wonderful person and does a great job. She's just a pleasure to listen to. As you know, if you tuned into the portal when I was away a few weekends ago, and Don and Paisley were covering the show in my absence, and she did a great job. Have I meant to mention I'm a saint? I'm a saint? Aw. Thanks, Cha-Cha. I am a saint. I got that going for me. Sometimes I'm a sinner, though, too. I just want to say. All right. So we got Dee on the phone right now, Diane Swagger, who is a many-time contributor to the show, and she's sharing all kinds of new information that is brand new to my head, and I'm still trying to process it. But welcome back, Dee. Thanks for holding.
Thanks. Well, I am glad to do this. I didn't know this was brand new to you, but yeah, light saying reminds me of Constantine. Yeah, there's so many things that have been actually hidden, and now there's this Tartaria thing. That's another thing you may not have come up with. They hid a whole culture. They erased a culture. Apparently, there are some traces of the Tartarian culture.
D.
And I wonder about the time slip guy who thought he was from his train was going to Tarid.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was maybe in another dimension.
We've got we've probably
somewhere in Tartaria.
We've probably got to keep your calls to like one subject. You have a tendency.
I know what somebody in here is going. It's all over, but no, I think it's really part of the same pattern. We've been lied to. There's a lot more going on this planet than they have told us. These giants would have occurred during this Saturn period.
Okay.
If they occurred. Probably would have been during that period.
Yeah, you never know.
If we're going to
There's
find
rumors.
clues to it, we're probably going to find it there with them.
There are rumors there are still giants, D. There are
Right.
people still citing giants to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they would have, but I mean, some of these things, Brent, the rock face, a mountain face, a face the size of a mountain face, he found what looks like, I think I mentioned this before, there are historical accounts of dragons, right? And I mean, we have pictures of dragons, we have historical accounts, we have no proof, supposedly.
Uh-huh.
What if it's because we're looking too small? We're thinking too small.
Sure.
Roger says he found a dragon, but it is the whole Moroccan mountain range. Is basically one creature.
Yeah.
They were that big.
I think the Earth would have had to have been a hell of a lot bigger to have a creature on it that big. But maybe it was. I don't know.
We could have been. We're half a planet, and really, I mean, if you believe some of these stories, we were at one time a much bigger planet, and we're only part of a planet.
Yeah, it could be.
I think I've mentioned this before, that we have a good third of the Earth just covered by water with almost nothing there. What would do that? I mean, they tried to tell us it was because it expanded, there was just one continent and expanded. And what if it's because half our planet got knocked off because it was at one time Tiamat, where the giants lived, or whatever they call it, Marduk, or whatever they call the giant planet that used to be the rings of
the asteroid belt
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not the ring. The asteroid belt.
Yeah, that's
okay. That's what they're saying. it is that was a piece of planet that was part of the planet, and the rest of the planet ended up being Earth.
Hard
if
to
that's
know.
true, then this was a bigger planet at one time.
So we
A
got
lot bigger.
maybe. I don't know. It's possible, but let's keep the topics of conversation to about one new topic a night. You have so much going on in your mind.
I don't know if that's impossible.
Even
because I don't know that it's not the same topic.
Well,
I think
it might be. It might be,
somehow
but
see a connection between all this, and I
Right.
guess if you don't see a connection, I understand. But
no, it's
to me, this
you've
is all
got-
connected somehow.
you have to understand that a lot of this information is new to people, and you're dumping a truckload of it on people. And they're
Hey,
saying
I'm sorry.
no, they're saying that in the
I'm
chat.
so sorry if
No,
it sounds. I know it sounds insane because when I first encountered it, it sounded completely nuts. It's
Right.
like, are you kidding me?
Right.
But then it's like there's more and more and more and more
Right.
people coming up with little bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, could this really be a fact?
It
Could
might
this
be.
really be true that this much of our history has been completely wiped from our memory? And it would kind of fit that if it was, that some of us would remember bits and pieces of it and not be able to put it anywhere, like not be able to put that memory anywhere. It's like, well, I remember it being kind of like this, but how could that be possible on this planet? Well, I guess
So I'm seeing
apparently this planet.
there's a lot going on here for sure, but actually the chat room is saying
Lively little planet, isn't it?
it is. But I'm going to cut you off there, Dee. I'm going to cut you off there because you're baking the bacon of our entire chat room. So you're baking the bacon.
Okay. I'm baking your noodles, am I? Well, that may be why I'm the Oracle of Kent. Baked noodles are my specialty.
Everybody loves a good noodle. All right. Thank you, Dee, for calling in. We love you.
Take care.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody breathe. All right. Puppies and kittens and happy things. That's just a whole lot to suck into your gray matter in one sitting. I don't know what to think about all that stuff. I mean, I understand there's a lot of wild ideas out there. I do. And I have to go on the record. And just for me, I think I can't subscribe to a lot of them, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm right and they're wrong. It doesn't mean I'm wrong and they're right. It just means I don't know how much of your time, for me, how much of my time can I ponder whether or not there was other suns and stuff, and does it matter now? Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. That's kind of the way I look at them. I love that she introduced those ideas on the show. I really do. Thank you so much for that, Dee, because it is new information. It's new thoughts and new approaches and ideas. But that was some people are bringing an envelope to the phone when they call in, and Dee brought a truckload. It's like, let me back this up here. Meep, meep, meep. So pretty funny, but that's Dee. She is a force of nature, but we love her for it. Anyway, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing now. I really honestly can't think. I thought too much in the last few minutes here. So there's that giant spider one. Let me close that. Here we go. Here's one coming out of Missouri. And this again is from Cryptozoology News. It says, Missouri family claims seeing Bigfoot. Again, I wish they would date these so we would know when it actually happened. But anyway, let me read this for you. And this is a great site. I like this site. Cryptozoologynews.com. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out if you're looking for information about cryptids, because it looks like they really have a pretty robust offering. And this is my kind of site. So the anonymous woman out of Crawford County told the BFRO that the sightings began back in 1991 and are still ongoing. The first time I saw it, I was driving home and coming around a curve when I noticed eye shine, she said. As I got closer, I saw a creature standing on the side of the road. The woman described it as a 2-legged, 8-foot creature with reddish-brown hair and weighing about 800 pounds. When the truck lights hit this thing, it covered its face with its arm. The witness says her elderly mother also spotted the creature a few times. She would call me and tell me something was hitting her trailer really hard. One night, she adds, her mother said she heard the dogs barking outside, and when she came out to investigate, she witnessed the creature talking to the dogs, as though it was trying to calm them down. Oh, that's good, because usually they just take the dog out. She stated that if an 800-pound gorilla could talk, that's what it would sound like. The last incident she recalls was last summer when she bought a night scope and she and her husband went out on the front porch and sat down to watch the woods. This thing was standing there watching us as we were watching it. It was approximately 8 feet or taller and huge. Its arms hung down past its knees and kind of curved as a monkey's would. Its head was crowned to some degree. What does it mean, crowned? We passed the scope back and forth to each other. My husband couldn't believe what he was seeing. The woman says she never felt threatened by the alleged animal, and that out of the 4 times she and her family encountered it, only once she felt she could have misidentified it. If I didn't see it with my own 2 eyes, I would be skeptical too, I suppose, she said. So that's really the whole sighting as reported to the BFRO. Very cool sighting, though. And thank you, Julie, for continuing to put that up there. If you've got a story, please send it in to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I appreciate it. How come I opened that twice? A derp. All right, now this one's interesting, and I don't know what to think of this. This, again, is from the same site, cryptozoologynews.com. It says this is a user-submitted report being posted in its entirety. If you've had a sighting and would like to send it, then they have a link to their form. It says, to who it may concern. First, I should tell you, this says predator-like humanoid encounter in California. I was going to use your report of sighting, but I prefer to tell the story this way. The story I'm about to tell is from my parents that have told it to me several times. I'm their son Adam, in my 30s, and currently weighing my options. My father's retired now. My mother's a mother, and now in my mother occupation, I do not wish to disclose at this time. My mother's in her 60s, and father is in his 70s now. My father used to work for Boeing. He used to work on the 737s, drilling holes, installation of seats, trays, etc. He also worked on a C-17 at one time. He also used to be a truck driver before retiring. Anywho, on with the story. The house we lived on was a rental before it went up for sale, and the area was a residential street, but very calm and not many cars drive through it, and everyone usually stayed indoors or was at work. Not a lot of activity in our neighborhood. We moved in about 1997, and we moved out sometime in 2011 due to personal reasons. There was a pine tree in the front yard and a row of bushes on the opposite side of the driveway across from the pine tree. The bushes went along down to the curb before we cut them down, and they were about 6 feet tall, and they had a sort of pathway between them, which was a little dense. It was the year 2000, around 6 p.m., possibly on a Saturday, date and month unknown. My dad was working on the side of our house, boring holes for anchors to install a new gate, for the old one was just falling apart. My mother came out of our house to see how my father was doing and to check on his progress, and as she came out, she thought she saw something move from the side of our garage in front of the pine tree to go across our driveway. She blew it off and proceeded around the cars and to the side of the house, where my father was. My father was drilling the holes, but my mom got his attention. He was in a crouched position, and as he turned around to his right, he noticed something strange from his peripheral vision. But then he completely turned around, and then for about 3 to 4 seconds, he saw something move, then push apart the bushes, then saw bushes swaying, and it was gone. My father's immediate reaction was, what's that? Did you see that? He asked my mother, as if she had seen what he had seen, but then settled himself down because he thought my mother would think he was being crazy. and she would just tease him about it later. See, my father is more open-minded and inclined to the supernatural stuff, UFOs, which we've seen plenty of times, Bigfoot, etc., as my mother is more of a skeptic when it comes to those kind of things and just sort of doesn't want anything to do with it. My father just tried to shrug it off before my mother could start teasing him, but she confirmed that she had seen what he saw. She pushed him to go see what it was and if it was gone. And he checked for footprints and to see if he saw anyone, but came up with nothing. It was tall, but it was hunched over. It was like a bubble of water around it. I don't know. It was weird. It moved so fast, but it moved as if it was gliding, swoosh, my mother has told me. It was like you're looking at something, but your eye cannot adjust to it. You're looking and it's blurring the viewpoint you're trying to focus to see past it. It was like something was there, but you couldn't tell if it was your eyes or what. It was like the Predator, when he goes invisible, my father said. We've talked about this several times, and my mother doesn't even want to think about it anymore. And my dad just wonders as much as I do, what did it want? How long was it watching them? Where did it come from, and where did it go? My parents both think it was watching them. My dad said it's almost like it was noticed, like it noticed he was going to turn around, and it's why he saw it in motion. For how long, they don't know. My mother said she has seen it before in the morning before she was going to work in the rearview mirror of her van. She didn't think much of it and thought she was just seeing things. And my brother-in-law cut down the tree because the sap would get on our cars, the pine needles. And he cut down the bushes, not because of this incident, but just to lessen the yard work. I couldn't get any pictures of 2000. Google wouldn't go that far back, but as I described, the bushes went all the way down to the curb, were a lot thicker and taller, and location is West Covina, California, USA. I blurred the street name and some of the cars we used to own as the exact location I do not wish to disclose. So apparently, there's a predator running around. That's a little creepy. I don't know what to think about those kind of things either, What are they? Could they be an interdimensional squatch? I don't know. I mean, is that possible? I don't know. There's lots of talk about it. There's lots of people that swear they have seen these Bigfoot Sasquatch beings phase away. I don't know. It's a strange thing. And I don't know. I wonder, because these are things that leave footprints. So they're a physical being. And if they can phase, is it possible that they're multidimensional? Now, here's the thing. If you believe in Mandela effects, if you believe in time slips, if you believe in things of that nature, then you have to acknowledge at least the possibility that we are multidimensional. Because if we are having Mandela effects, then we have gone through dimensional shifts. So apparently, if indeed you believe in that, then you have to acknowledge that it may be possible that we have experienced dimensional shifts. Is it impossible that there could be creatures that exist that can do that at will? If we can do it just kind of by accident, could they know how to do it? And I don't know. I don't have the answer, but I think that's really cool food for thought. Got another caller here, and I want to get to this one. Area code 406, you're on the air.
Hey, howdy to everybody out there in paranormal land.
Hey, Mr. Duke. How you doing, brother?
I'm hanging in there. I just thought this might be an interesting time to let everybody know that we're kind of cooking up something special for them for about the middle of next month. You want to tell everybody about it?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about doing is a Bigfoot scouting retreat over in Montana that also includes visiting an abandoned ghost town over there. And we're looking at the possibility of potentially doing a live broadcast from over there on location in the ghost town. So it's something that we're really excited about. Hopefully we can pull it all together logistically. At the very least, we're going to get some great video and put something together to show on the show, but hopefully we can get it so that we can broadcast live on location.
Yes, sir. And we should be able to. We could get signal from up there, so keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully we can figure out how to make all that work. If not, at least you'll get to see everything afterwards that Brent films, and that, of course, I will be filming and putting on my shows. And we've got quite the list of other Bigfooters from all over the country here, maybe even ones from overseas as well that are planning on being here. So should be quite the interesting turnout. So I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to having Brent up there in Coloma, because I've been there several times before, and I found little people tracks there. There's plenty of Bigfoot sign around there. I've had people with me that have seen them when we were there, videotaped the eye shine, audio captures of them messing with their tents, tracks all over the place. Plus, of course, the ghost stuff that goes on there. And I showed Brent a short video of that the other night, where we had the EM meter going and it fried the batteries in it. So, yeah.
That was crazy. It's a K2. She has a K2 detector, EMF field detector, and they're up in the ghost town. So there's like no running. There's no electricity. There's no big cell towers or anything nearby. And the K2 is pegged. It is pegged all the way to red, and it just stays there. And on command, a couple of times it goes down and dissipates to nothing, and then goes right back up, and then finally cooked her battery. So
yeah, she had just put the batteries in right before she started doing this.
Yeah.
And when the thing started going off, I grabbed the camera as fast as I could. So I think I missed about 15, 20 seconds of it. And then I got the whole rest of the thing on video. So, yeah, we were both kind of creeped out. And this isn't even at night. This is like in the afternoon, sitting there waiting for it to get dark so we can start doing Bigfoot research for ghost hunting.
And that is really powerful.
So it should be a fun location to do a show from. Anyway, I wanted to call in and give everybody the heads up that we're working on something here, and if we can pull it together, it should be a really good show.
Yeah, we're gonna set a new high bar for the portal, doing some live on scene, on location kind of broadcasting. So I'm really excited about that, and thanks a bunch, Duke, for making this possible. If we are able to pull it off, but making it possible either way, because at the very least, we'll be investigating and checking out both some Bigfoot locations and some paranormal ghost stuff. So it's a sweet deal.
Yeah, at the very least, you guys will end up seeing a lot of video and pictures and stuff from everything that happens there. If we can pull it off, you'll get live feed from the ghost town while we're there, which is like super cool, because that place is creepy. During the day, it's creepy. At night, it's creepy. It's always creepy.
It's creepy.
So anyway.
Perfect, brother. Yeah, that's going to be a blast, and that'll be the middle of next month. So we'll keep you guys posted as we're able to dial this in and see what we can do. But yeah, really exciting stuff.
All right, thanks, brother. I'll let you go.
All right, have a great night, brother. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, so we have Brent Thomas Beef Jerky presents what, Lewis? I ain't got no beef jerky, brother. I'm all like prime rib. I'm all about prime rib. Portal making things happen. And yeah, we're trying. We always want to continue to raise the bar and continue to bring a better show to you guys as is possible. This will be a logistic nightmare in some ways, and if it works, it'll be just amazing and fantastic. I'm not sure what the show is going to look like there. It won't have all this nice decor, but it'll have a whole different kind of thing, because we will be there on location doing this stuff. And it may be that we can only stream it to like Facebook or something. I'm not sure if it'll work to do it to YouTube as well, but we'll see. We'll try to make it all happen. It's really exciting stuff, but we are down to 1:30 left of the show, which means about a minute left of the show, because the last 30 seconds, of course, is the theme song going out. But please stick around if you're on TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live for Paisley Wilds coming up next with the Spaces Between. Her show deals with a lot of esoteric and occult things and paganism and stuff, and she does a wonderful job. She's really an amazing person, and it's a lot of fun to listen to her. So And I'll be back tomorrow night, I guess, with Don. Yeah, Don will be here tomorrow night, so we'll cook up another show for you guys and hopefully keep you plenty entertained tomorrow night. So, but what else is there? Oh, again, please feel free to email paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Check out the podcast if you haven't. Subscribe and keep an eye on that. Today's podcast was released. It's Linda Godfrey, part 1, talking about Bigfoot and her experiences with it. So check it out if you haven't already. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Love you guys. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow night for another episode.